In religion, you always have prophets, and these prophets sit back and they say there's going to be disease here and disease there, and if you don't do what we say, God's going to get angry and there's going to be more plagues and more diseases. You just need to look at Moses if you're in the Abrahamic religion to understand what was happening there. The prophets of today are to do with computers, computer systems, and they prophesize. It's called neuromancy, I think. And what you do is you prophesize what's going to happen in the future based on algorithms. So the COVID simulation is actually a prophecy of what's going to happen. And those are the new prophets. The new prophets are computers. We trust computers more than we trust prophets. In the past, they trusted prophets and magic. Today, we trust computer systems and science because that's the evolution. It's gone from magic to science. With every religion, you need to have a story. Where does it come from? What happened? Or there's mystery, isn't there, involved? And there's always something a little bit magical. So, for instance, the Garden of Eden, Adam was the first golem. God got some mud and some earth and he put it together and he made Adam, and then he took the rib from Adam and created Eve. But a golem is something that you make from mud. So if God makes a golem, it's us. But if we make a golem, it's more like Frankenstein. Humans, where were humans made? Were they made in some sort of laboratory that the Bible doesn't know how to explain? And were these people, these gods? Because remember, the Bible doesn't talk about singular, it talks about plural. It doesn't say God, it says gods. So who are these gods? Are they like alien, UFO type people, laboratory assistants, or what's going on? So there's all of that within the cosmology, the alternative cosmology of the Bible. But where did COVID come from? COVID's just as elusive as man. Nobody really knows where COVID has come from. Some say a laboratory, some say it's bats, some say it's a food market, some say it's a jungle, some say it's manipulated. So if the COVID came from a laboratory, and humans obviously had to have come from some sort of laboratory if we were created in a different dimension, COVID has taken on its own myth, and COVID has taken on its own history, laboratory, its creation. It's been created by something. It's taken something of God. So for instance, if a scientist made it, the scientist has inverted part of God's will because it's humans playing with something that they shouldn't have. We're opening Pandora's box where we've got hubris. We're flying too close to the sun and we're going to fall. And when we play God, these terrible things happen. And the result of us playing God, when we've built the Tower of Babel, when we understand all the language, or we speak one language, which might be mathematics, God's got to come along and knock it all down and send us back to the prehistoric age, and then we start again in this large cycle. And so the story of COVID is people interfering in God's work. And we are in a dichotomy, because on one hand we want technology to advance, and when it suits us, and after some generations we agree with the enhancement of the humans and the interfering of some things to a point, but we don't like it when we don't understand what's going on. So for instance, if a child's going to have terrible illness, we would be quite happy to interfere. Well, a lot of people would be quite happy to interfere genetically. Whereas if we're going to make superhumans, then people wouldn't be happy. But if China was to make superhuman and they were going to come and attack the West, and we had no way of defending ourselves except for modifying our own people, then perhaps modifying our people would be justified in order to maintain our ideology and culture. So every religion needs to have a sort of a myth and a story behind it. And COVID has its own special ideologies. Where did it come from? Was it created? Was it natural? If it was natural and humans interfered in it, that's the devil, isn't it? You see, because humans are bad, aren't we? So when humans interfere in something, it's the devil interfering in it. And then when the devil interferes in God's work, God punishes us by sending us plagues and COVID. So it's very symbolic, and it can have a very Christian perspective placed on the COVID story.